Hey, Rev.
Hey, Tech.
It's episode 91.
Or as I've been thinking about calling you, TJ.
Nah, no TJs. I don't like it. Tech is fine.
TJ.
No TJ.
Hooker.
I knew it, you bastard of bastards. That reminds me, actually.
Yeah.
I tweeted last night, or sometime yesterday afternoon, whatever. I was reading Star Wars. I was reading Star Wars.
Wow, you've never deserved.
It's a bit of a stretch, huh? I was reading Star Wars, the original Marvel run, and it was around issue 104.
Wow, so right near the end then.
Yep. And the Hiromi, which are giant space beetles with berets. Hey, you're the one that loves the giant green space rabbit. So don't go fucking around about giant space beetles.
You mean Jax?
Okay? Yes, Jax. Anyway, they're getting ready to take over this planet where it's filled with like red party people, which is so difficult to say.
Of course they are.
But if you look it up, the Zeltrons are pretty damn party driven. However, the point is that the ship was commanded by a Captain Hooker, Hookyr. Oh my God. There's a zombie fetus sheep creature biting a hippie's neck off. Or ear. And it's stretching like fucking saltwater taffy.
Oh, I am so happy right now.
And he's slamming up against a tree. It's awesome. So much for nonviolence, huh, hippie? You and your top knot of doom.
All right, so you're reading...
It's captained by Captain Hooker. And the navigator, Lieutenant Takei. Tahkay.
Subtlety.
Nice little in-joke. They're completely incompetent, by the way, these giant beetles with berets. So, that was my fun times this weekend.
How big is your Star Wars Marvel collection now?
I might have 40 by now, maybe 45.
I think I have like 6.
Well, I'm sure most of them escaped into mine now. You know, we're never going to end up not talking about that collection trade, you know. How what you used to have is now what I used to have. And I'm kind of having, and I've never looked at because I found it too...
You really? Is that why you haven't read a lot of it?
No, I'm fucking with you.
Okay. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, we're good. You've thrown me back a couple of things when I started getting back into them that weren't killing you.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the fact of the matter.
Oh, well.
You gave me a shitload of books, and every time you reference something, it says, I had that book, but now you got it.
Well, it's an easy way of reminding you. I'm actually shocked at how little you've read, considering some of the quality that was in there. Like, I would have thought you just stack the Captain Americas next to the bed and pile through them.
Oh my God, they're gutting a rabbit. Let's move on to Journey into Mystery, huh?
All right, so Journey into Mystery number
631, which is a very talky episode.
Well, this is I don't want to say filler because there's a lot of plot movement, but it's in between the end of Fear itself,
right,
and whatever story comes next,
right, where we see the final disposition of the Daisir,
which is fucked.
Pretty much, yeah. He gave up all responsibility for him and remanded them back to Mephisto's custody, and they are pissy about it.
Well, the thing is, he told them that he would cut them free.
Right.
Which they somehow assumed would make them free, and instead all it did is make Mephisto's claim larger.
Yes.
Oops.
It was pretty bad. But then he makes his little deal o' subtlety with the mother, the maiden, and crone of Freya, Iden, and Gaia.
Yes.
So they're like, you can.
No, it's
yeah.
Mother,
that's what it is.
No, Freya, Gaia and Idun. Idun is the maiden.
Yeah.
I
wasn't attempting to put them in any order.
But none of them are a crone, though.
That's the standard concept of the 3 phases of womanhood.
It did have a very Gaiman-esque quality.
Yes. Oh, God. The zombie sheep fetus is going to infect and eat the big sheep. This is so goofy.
And yet, you're enthralled.
Fascinatingly odd.
It's not a bad film thus far.
So far. Well,
and by the way, what are we watching?
We are watching Black Sheep, the New Zealand zombie sheep movie.
I just love that people have to say that out loud.
That's what it is. You just want to hear me say it out loud, you jerk.
Yeah, that's where I live.
Of course it is. So he makes his deal because he's the one that can be subtle, and nobody trusts him anyway. But if he can gain trust, then he's gained trust for the mothers.
It's like Mission Impossible. It's like, this mission, if you choose to accept, we will disavow any knowledge of your existence. But it's very interesting to see how they deal with him versus Odin, where he's like, oh, if I don't do it, you'll punish me. They're like, no. No, we're not those people.
No, it's a whole new realm. But it's got a lot of intrigue in it. I
like how Leah has to stay with him. So he puts her in a cave.
Yeah. Oh, Kieran Gillen, you know what you're doing, my man. You really do. And it ends with a very, very frightening...
Oh, the
not
doom.
Really. It ends not quite a cliffhanger, but definitely foreboding of future plot points as Surtur is reforging the Twilight Sword.
Very exciting.
Especially when it says Doom and it harkens back to the 12 issues of Simonson's run that ended with Doom. And the Doom got bigger and bigger and bigger until finally, oh my God! It was great. We love that book, seriously.
Yeah.
Because I know a couple of people out there, especially those who listen and read iFanboy, are like, you have to be nice. We're being nice, motherfucker. We read the book. We love it. We say we love it. That's the end of that. What's the problem?
Nope. Journey into Mystery is a great book right now.
Another book we love is UnWritten. And this week, we're going to talk about 31 and 31.5, in which Tommy finally decides to take that shit to the streets.
With spells.
With spells that he learned from fan sites. Which makes utter and complete sense, actually. Because if these people never, Tommy Taylor, Harry Potter, God knows how many other, wizards and such like fantasy pieces, etc. Gandalf. If you had to actually look through the text to figure out what they could do, it would take you a fucking eternity.
Well, I read the books once and only once, and I've seen most of the films a couple of times. Well, I haven't even seen the last 3 or 4 movies. I'm way behind.
Potter?
Yeah.
Oof.
Well, I had bought that one that you borrowed the first week that I had it, and then you had it for a year.
That's because you never ever ask for anything back.
That's true, but
you're very lame in that fashion.
But by the time I got it back, I'm like, I should watch the other ones, and I just haven't felt the urge to work my way back through it. And I haven't bought any more in the interim since I hadn't seen the last one, so I'm just totally in this Potter limbo. But Harry Potter's not a particularly good magician.
No, but that's beside the point. What I'm reaching for here is the fact that the authors of these books never give you a glossary in the back and says, this is what Harry learned this fucking issue. But
because he really doesn't know very much.
Well, he never does, and he always forgets it till the very last moment. It's like, oh yeah, I can do magic. Yeah. My
Patronus!
My kind of cute but annoying friend had to remind me that we do these things. Otherwise, we were just going to throw rocks.
Really, you're reading the Hermione Chronicles.
Pretty much. Yeah. I mean, that's no fucking joke either. That's what's going on. Just because he lived. So it makes total sense for Tommy to say, look, man, I know these people do this shit. Go find me a list of some jackass with too much time pouring page by page through the 32 Tommy Taylor books and get me a list of shit I'm supposed to be able to do here. Brilliant.
Nice.
Brilliant. Uh-oh. I hear a siren.
Both in life and in the movie, oddly enough.
Wow, that's unusual in this part of town. So anyway, he takes it to the streets. He goes and finds a bunch of the Cabal's people, and he just goes to town on them, and he finds out all kinds of neat things in this guy's head that's running things now.
He's got a lot of,
and some disturbing shit in that guy's head, too.
Well, yes.
Oh, I like being beaten by a matronly woman in her fucking underwear. No!
Yeah, could have done without
Don't
that.
need to turn a page and see that kind of shit. But the fishing part was fun. He found all those guys in the boat who were supposed to be relaxing and not thinking about things, and he just
tortures the piss out of them with spells.
Paralyzes them, and it's fun. What do you got to say about it?
I'm a big fan of the book. Now, this is the starting point to the 10-part War of the Words storyline.
Which will be bi-weekly.
Just to really dive into that pocketbook for you.
Yeah, that was fine with me. But they jump straight into... They go right from Tommy taking it to a parallel story, I guess, about spells being memorized and stories being handed down non-physically.
But they also make the argument that if he... How do I put this? If, since he didn't really learn the spells, he just sort of took them and then used his wand, they stop working. Like, he's teleporting and things go all awry at the end of the issue.
Right, because he's really not concentrating to any degree. He's just expecting that all he needs, it's mechanical enough where the words are sufficient.
Right.
Which is kind of not bright. Oh boy, the sheep are fucking eating people, dude. This is a crazy-ass show, man. God. So what?
It broke through the door.
So what about the ancient Chinese people trying to destroy the books?
Oh, the UnWriters.
Yes.
Well, that's actually, the 0.5 issue is not quite a jumping on point because it's sort of a history of the UnWriters, and there's 3 separate little short stories. The original one involves the torture murder of a bunch of monks who dared to memorize.
So they could rewrite books after they were burned.
Right, which didn't go too well.
And it was the political cartoonist who was largely threatened into giving up muckraking.
Kind of like the whole Boss Tweed thing back in the day.
And then there was the remaining story about the printing press and the Inquisition, or whatever it was.
Right. Well, the Gutenberg Bible.
Right. So they figured out that you could transmit ideas aside from the gospel, and that might not be cool for the gospel.
You know what was like the level of art that they got for this?
Yes.
Kaluta, Rick Geary, who's very cartoony.
When was the last time you saw Mike Kaluta? That was a treat.
And Talbot. So, everybody was really talented.
Yeah. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Anything particular point you want to hit on about that?
No, it's a great book. I will say, from what I've seen, War of the Words is not a strong jumping on point, even though it's the beginning of a big storyline.
Right, it assumes a lot about what has gone before. But I'm not sure it was supposed to be one. I think it's just another arc.
Sometimes you see, like, the first Green Lantern book I read in a very long time was the Sinestro Corps War.
Right.
And, sometimes you see that big storyline, you're like, all right, this is where I'm just going to dive in because it looks like something major is happening.
Right.
This would be a hard road to take.
Yeah, this wouldn't be the easiest way to go about that. But we are starting from scratch on one book.
Which is?
And that's the first Terry Moore book that I've ever voluntarily gotten for myself. Rachel Rising.
Now, what Terry Moore here we are going back to it. You got a bunch of Strangers in Paradise from me, which
I read.
You read them all.
I read them all.
And
went through all of
them.
Gave them their just due. And I was kind of like, well, it's competent, but I don't give a shit.
Yeah, art-wise, he's a very talented artist.
Oh, sure.
Every blonde girl kind of looks the same, which is a little frustrating.
Yes. It's just, Kachu just gets different hairstyles, really.
And really, that plays into this, too, because the two blondes look almost identical, other than one of them has weird eyes and is dead.
Well, I don't mind it being dead, but if you're going to be black and white and on this quality of paper, I think $3.99 is a little fucking much. I don't care if you're indie. This paper and black and white is not $3.99. Well, but waking up in a graveyard, not even a grave, in a shallow forest grave that she didn't belong in. That's a good start. But the confused thing, and let me explain why I'm not really dead, and go to my coroner aunt who may or may not be an aunt.
I think that's a dude.
I'm trying to figure that out because you don't see the proper anatomy to determine that. But I mean, she's calling her the aunt, so you have to.
Well, I think he's gay. Was the point?
Well, I mean,
he's talking about ensigns.
See, it was never making any sense with each other.
Well, I mean, Terry Moore has always been very sexually open in his books.
Yeah, which is fine. I'm not saying that.
Most of the plot point of Strangers in Paradise.
No, I'm really saying it was too vague to be certain either way.
No, yeah, it
was my
not
real point.
As clear because you've also got the tough girl,
right,
who comes across as a guy. Too,
no, because my across the street neighbors look just like this, but what are they doing?
There's a sheep driving a truck.
There's a sheep driving a truck over a cliff. No, don't lose the dog. Okay, good. They kept the dog. They're not going to kill the dog. You can't kill the damn dog. Holy shit, the thing is going right now. The sheep might get away with that. Look at that. The sheep might live.
Maybe not.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty banged up, but it never flipped or anything. Yeah, our distractions are pretty key right here. It's mostly solid. But it is kind of. Would you get going?
Oh, okay. So
we're back to the book, by the way.
Apparently, there's a magical wood of sorts, or historically awkward wood, which is where she was buried.
Historically awkward.
So she's come back from the dead. Her uncle/aunt, from what we can tell, her Hermaphrodite is a coroner.
Who doesn't want to believe she's real for a few minutes.
Right. So there's this big hallucination thing, and then she's going out, but meanwhile she can predict the death of something else, and there's this evil blonde girl that looks a lot like her, because as I said, all the blondes look the same, which is confusing as fuck, who drives the fiancé of the girl to kill the girl to fulfill a prophecy that she somehow says that the girl's going to die in the bathroom by tying her necklace. Like, there's so...
Yeah, that was a bit of a stretch. I mean, she just wanders around telling people, hey, did you know that...
There's some very real and interesting concepts coming right up in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, they could do... he could do a worse job stretching it out and making us irritated. So...
I mean, you're diving right in, but you don't understand much of anything yet. The characters are very close, since you've read Strangers in Paradise. Like, people kind of look and feel the same.
Yeah.
Like, the fiancé looks like the fiancé of the bigger girl. I don't remember the names.
Kachu and crap.
Yeah. But the non-Kachu one, but the fiancé who murders his girl kind of looks like a variation on that girl's fiancé.
Right. Holy crap. Now I'm going to get angry. Why? What is the other girl's name?
I don't know him, and you didn't like him. I mean, there's no real reason to try and remember, you know what I mean?
Well, it's just irritating, and we are talking about it, so we should know, for God's sake. I mean, that's just logic. Kachu and... Kachu and... Ew. that doc is not as hot as she looked from 70 feet away.
So few things are in life. But, I mean, I think he's a phenomenal artist, and he's a creative writer, and he brings a real concept to things. He doesn't always develop or deliver on said concept.
Right.
Now, are you going to keep going book by book, or are you going to pick up a graphic once the storyline starts to develop?
Well, we're already on 3, so I figure I'd stick around until 6 and see what happens.
Fair enough.
Like usual. That's my whole thing now. The whole money-saving thing is you got 6, and that's it. Oh, the sheep are attacking the doctors. Oh, my God. Kids, you got to see this flick, man.
Aha!
What? What? Get out. Now, you were initially very down on Justin and Jimmy's All-Star Western.
I did not much care for the first issue, but a lot of that, to be fair, I'm still torn. I've only read one graphic of Justin original run on, or Justin and Jimmy, original run on Jonah Hex.
Right.
And that had some, I read it, I enjoyed it. You weren't that blown away by it, if I recall.
No, I felt it solid and enjoyable, but not exactly standout.
Like, you weren't going to jump towards buying anymore.
Right.
And I enjoyed it, but I, love Jonah Hex, so...
So, yeah, that adds a whole dimension on top of you that I don't really cross over into.
But in this case, this felt less like a Jonah Hex book than a Gotham book.
Yeah, and that's, I actually semi-spoke to Jimmy about that on Twitter. Real fast, like 2 exchanges.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm kind of digging it, but it does say Western. Are we going to get out of Gotham? And he says, you just hang tight, we'll get there. More Western will be coming. So I'm like, all right, I'm down with that. You get me out into fucking Texas and Oklahoma and whatever. We can start talking Western. But it's, I'm fine with the way Hex has actually, characterized himself.
Now, this and one of the other DC books, which is Catwoman, and I haven't read quite a few of the 52 because you don't buy them all for obvious reasons.
Right.
But the art has a very European style that's throwing me a little bit.
Yeah, the Gilliam March on Catwoman is very French.
Yeah.
And the Moritat he sounds French, but he seems to me actually rather Italian.
They both feel kind of like heavy metal-esque in their art styles.
Yeah.
So, and then with the whole Arkham thing, like it just, Jonah Hex with an annoying partner.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure he'll be gone. I mean, he
he's
said right
already clear by the third
in
issue.
3, he's like, no, I don't want to hang around with you. You're creepy, even though I'm the one with the scar that scares fucking gorillas.
But by the second and third, I thought they were doing Jonah Hex. I was starting to get a better feel for the character as they were writing him, which I was enjoying more. And you had the Secret Society, which was a very classic. Jonah Hex somehow starts doing one thing and ends up in something totally different.
Right.
So I like that. There was also an El Diablo storyline, which was as equally lame as the old 70s El Diablo storyline. El Diablo versus the zombies.
Well, I didn't... What hit me worst about the El Diablo was I didn't... The art just killed it for me. It was like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is like almost Silver Age.
Well, there's definitely a perspective towards that. And
I was kind of done with it. Don't you dare tell me that the guy is going to turn into a goddamn sheep because he was bit. Don't do that. That was a fucking sheep foot coming out his goddamn pant leg, wasn't it? Wasn't it? God damn. So, El Diablo. It wasn't even good Silver Age stuff. It was just kind of crappy Gold Key type Silver Age stuff.
But, I mean, that's what most El Diablos were. The only time you've ever liked that character, even a little, was the 4-issue Azzarello run where it was insanely creepy.
I didn't read that one, did I?
Yeah, it's one of the graphics. When I gave you that and Johnny Double to read at the same time.
Oh, yes, you're right.
And
yes.
People were getting skinned alive, and you're like, dude, why did you give me this?
Yes.
And that was as close as you've come to liking El Diablo.
Right. No, that's absolutely true. I remember it now, and I want to punch you. What's Snyder doing for you on Batman?
I am enjoying Snyder on Batman so far.
Ah, see? Didn't I tell you?
Yeah.
Didn't I tell you? I wish they'd swap him back, though, because he was doing things on Detective previously, and now we got Tony Daniel over there, and it's turned into a fucking gore fest that doesn't make any kind of fucking sense when he should be going, oh, well, you see this fiber? You should be detecting. And I know a lot of people are saying the same damn thing. And I know I'm harping on it to no fucking end.
Well, you
okay, but we
love
don't
Batman.
have any detective books at all. Nobody investigates anything around here.
Ruse.
Well, that's not the 52 bomb.
Right.
I was a little too vague there. In the new 52, there is nothing that isn't just punch more.
Well, I mean, we aren't reading all of them, to be fair. Like, for all we know, Grifter has the best detecting.
Grifter is never going to have me do. What is wrong with you, son?
Bird of Prey. No, you know what? I will say, as much as there are some flaws with it, Batwoman is kind of a detecting book.
Well, we got that back down at the bottom, so we can cover that more thoroughly later. In number 2 of Batman, Scott gets a little, and I love just, reading them on Twitter and saying hi to them occasionally and making a point. Because now I feel like they're my buddies, and I can call them just Scott, and it's all right. And
that's sweet. And in no way dumb. Anyway.
But he starts off talking about what the city is and what the city ain't. And he gets into the detecting.
Well, I like this, again...
Although this Owl Society thing is a kind of big.
I don't have a problem with the Owl Society. I mean, how much, compared to the League of Assassins, how is that any dumber? My thing is, again, now we have, even as we're dealing with the Gotham of the Western Age,
right?
You've got this 1922 murdered Wayne by this League of Owls. Which is just ridiculous. And so, I mean, is there any ancestor of Bruce Wayne that isn't involved in a creepy conspiracy or Gotham?
Well, isn't that what I was saying the last 6 months? Every time you turn around, somebody wants to go back in history and connect everything to everything else.
But with the new 52 and this whole revamping of it, and it's nice actually that Paul Miotti and Gray in Joan Hexer's kind of implying that there's this evil origin to Gotham, which is why all this stuff happens. So at least they're kind of giving it a logic.
Yeah, that much is fine.
Which Ennis had also played with to a degree in Demon back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
With the Gotha Demon, but I mean...
The Gotha Demon.
I'm not making that up.
I believe it. You read more Demon than I do, so I'm going to trust you on it.
But the fact of the matter is that now we're basically ending up branching out into Batman versus the League of Hooters. And
the League of Hooters. That's our title, kids. Batman versus the League of Hooters.
I don't know. I really like the concept. Basically, what they're doing with this whole Owl Assassin is the alternate Batman that Catman was supposed to be back in the day. Or what's that Mike Golden drawn one-shot Batman special from the 80s that you adore and have totally forgotten?
Yeah, I've completely forgotten it. Mike Golden?
He did the art where there was this alternative character of Batman fighting Batman. Like, the whole idea of,
yeah.
The alternate character, I suppose. If I'd gone a different way.
Well, there's 7,000 Elseworlds like that.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about the Elseworld. Elseworld's just a giant pile of poop covered in space.
Covered in what?
Space and time. Like they're always, they take these variations, but every kind of behaves the same way.
You're not making any sense, dude.
You take a character from the DC universe, and you throw them into some totally pointless scenario.
Yeah.
And they behave half the same way and half totally different.
Yeah.
But really, nothing gets accomplished with any of it. How many Elseworld stories can you even remember?
Oh, well, let's start with the Superman one.
Oh, that cleared that up.
I'm working on it. There was Darkest Night.
I'm talking once it was actually considered an Elseworlds.
The Blue, the Gray, and the Bat.
What was that about?
That was Batman in the Civil War.
No. What was it about?
Oh, I see. What was it? What were plot points?
Yeah.
Not so much,
Yes.
the milieu.
I can easily say, there's Batman in the 30s. There's Batman in the...
Batman and Master of the Future.
Batman?
Batman.
Wow. Okay,
Master of
that's
the
the
future.
alternate Batman. Batman.
It's a cat-like entity. Terrible.
I shall become a fish. No. No, I shall
Lots
not.
of people are scared of fish. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no.
No, there was Master of the Future, which was some nuthatch steampunk thing where the guy was running around in a dirigible trying to destroy Gotham for money.
All right.
Right.
Yeah, you were able to pull that one up. That's one.
There was Frankenbat.
Come on.
What?
You're making that up.
Yes.
No, I mean, obviously, and Elseworlds had some high points. There's the best for me is
Frankenbat.
yeah, the fact that there's actually a Franken-Punisher or Franken-Castle.
Yeah, back to Batman in this particular run.
Obviously, you have the Mike Mignola Jack the Ripper one.
Yep.
You have Kelly Jones doing Red Rain, which you really liked a lot.
Yep.
But
Where he
most
became
of
a
them
vampire.
are concepts in which you remember the concept, but not the story, which to me is not a success.
Yeah. That is bad. You're right. Absolutely. Oh, the sheep are eating a random dead guy. Ew.
Although I did really enjoy the one I recently bought and lent you, the 9 Lives that Michael Lark did.
9 Lives?
Yeah, it was...
I haven't read that one yet, obviously.
Right, but it's set in the 40s in like a noir style.
Oh, okay. Very good. But he finds out that the Owl Society people are everywhere.
Including his own home.
It couldn't be Alfred.
And then something blows up.
And they end the issue. So Batman 4, I think, is out this week, which means I won't get it till fucking Saturday, which means I won't get it for 2 weeks because nobody's around Saturday because it's Christmas.
Yeah, that is true.
Fuck, fuckity, fuck. Are you starting to warm up to Wonder Woman?
Well, I wasn't anti it. I liked the first issue. It's very different. I wanted to see it build a little bit before I gave it the kind of praise. I mean, there's pretty much nothing that Brian Azzarello has written that I haven't enjoyed that I've found yet. And I've gone to, I read Banner, I read Cage, for God's sake.
I don't know if you noticed when we went shopping, but one of those stores had a Luke Cage who looked like he came right out in 1991.
Yep, complete with the Cage.
Yes, with the big-ass name medallion. I was not going to buy that one. I thought, oh, hey, Luke Cage action figure. Ah, shit.
But the thing is, there are aspects, the skull cap is, Bendis Cage, and then the Cage gold chain is Azzarello Cage, and you're like, can you just take the better one? And I enjoyed the Azzarello Cage miniseries. I thought it was interesting.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
I like Richard Corbin's art.
I don't remember it, is what it is, if I even read it.
I honestly don't know if you did.
Probably not.
But,
so Strife is
Wonder
Ares'
Woman.
sister. And she seems to be manipulating Hippolyta.
Well, you find all sorts of things out in 2 and 3. I mean, you've got... It's revealed that Hera is trying to kill the girl because Zeus banged her.
Right.
My favorite part was Hermes like, he usually comes with something impressive. What do you come as for you? A truck driver. Possibly a DJ.
Which is, this says a lot about her character as a redneck, that a DJ is the most impressive thing that Zeus could come up with.
Her point is she likes men and she doesn't have to justify that. So it's not meant to be demeaning. It's meant to be, I'm who I am, deal with it. So I didn't have a problem with that. I just thought that was a funny line. Was he a shower of gold? No, he was the truck driver. But then you also have the big reveal that Wonder Woman is not made of clay.
And everybody has lost their mind when that was first announced. And I'm like, it follows logically with the rest of it. You know, if they're gonna beat up this poor West Virginian, you know, pinch-faced, trailer trash, bleach blonde brat, if Hera's gonna go after her just for getting nailed, then what would she do to fucking Diana, for God's sake? So they had to hide it. So they told everybody a story. So what's the problem?
But I think the fact that many people were up in arms because the big belief was early on, they're going back to the original Clay storyline. Da, da, da. Even you mentioned that to me in an early podcast. That they were, you know, origins of Diana that hadn't been touched in years were getting revamped.
I don't remember saying that.
Then suddenly it was gone like a day, you know, an issue later.
No, I don't remember saying that at all, actually.
That doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Because I don't remember reading it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said it if I didn't read it. I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. I don't make shit up. Except Frankenbat.
No.
I mean, and that was poor. So you see why I avoid these things. So,
Jesus. No, I think it's building at an interesting level. I think it's funny that Artemis is not there, but now they've got a redheaded Amazon named Alika, who's also displeased with the overall way that Amazon is run, particularly by Diana.
You know, I have not read a single run of Wonder Woman by anybody where there's not one dissident who thinks they should all be just total badasses and fucking take over everything. It's in every single incarnation that I have read.
Well, considering it's mostly by men, it might say something that the women's paradise is filled with pissy women.
No, even Gail Simone's did that.
Yeah, that was probably more for story, though.
Yeah,
I stand by my point.
That was Alkyone in her run. Oh, I didn't want to look at the table and see innards.
It's haggis.
I know that's disgusting, but
because it's haggis.
Wonder Woman's good. Let's leave it at that, huh?
No, I think the art is pretty interesting. The whole guy, I still haven't figured out why Hermes and now Strife look like horse aliens.
What? No, Strife doesn't look like no horse alien. What are you talking about?
She's pink and too long and
well,
gangly.
She's
She's
tall.
not quite as horsey as Hermes, but she don't look like anybody else either.
I don't see any horsiness. I see punkish.
You can tell me she looks totally normal compared to the rest of the people in the
Well,
book?
I mean, aside from having a buzz cut.
And being pink.
Well, she's a god. She can be pink if she wants. What the fuck? I don't see the horse part of it, though.
Well, I think I'm carrying over from Hermes on that one.
Yeah, a little bit. But she's a god. What the... Let her be pink if she wants to be pink.
Hera's a god. She looks like everybody else. What?
She don't want to be pink.
You were just making up that. And I've got no way to debate it either. I'm trapped.
Well, no, because how would you?
Trapped.
Strife wants to be pink.
All right, moving on rapidly.
Catwoman, 2 and 3.
All right, dirty, nasty Catwoman Batman sex.
Well, the result thereof, anyway. Yeah. The implied result, although, you know, it's fairly obvious they didn't need to imply it.
No, they say
she goes stealing shit, which is what I want to see Catwoman do. But then she made a mistake about what she was stealing, and her fence pays for it. And that's not fucking cool.
Story-wise, it's building up a little bit better. And
yeah.
The art, I think he's a great artist. I do find it a little off-putting for a comic book in that, like I said, it feels like heavy metal as opposed to a regular DC book.
No.
It's a small thing.
I don't know. No, the Moritat was definitely heavy metal, but I don't think March is all like that.
I don't know. It just didn't feel like a DC book when I was flipping through it, but that's not a bad thing either.
Well, yeah, and that's largely the point of the New 52. But what I'm curious about, I haven't read a whole lot of Catwoman without bats running around.
Right.
So did she just get into random adventures, or did she actually have her own villains?
I no idea about the villains aspect. I think the problem with Catwoman books is that it's very hard to make a criminal moral the whole time. So you've got this weird little
there's only so much you can do with it before, you're glamorizing crime. And despite the fact that nobody's been using the comic code for a long time, that's not something you really want to do too long.
No, I mean, the point, and you have the same issue with, well, obviously the mythical Joker book, but the Harley Quinn mini, the Birds of Prey, not Birds of Prey. Well,
Supervillain team up?
No, good. Anytime you have Deathstroke the Terminator,
yeah,
getting his own book, all these things, you have this challenge to make them heroic and villainous at the same time. And it's true in Marvel too. Deadpool's a perfect example.
Yeah, how do you make a killer for hire a protagonist?
And you make, and invariably they end up making them almost overly moral.
Yeah,
which is exactly what's happening here with the, my fence was my best friend, and I have to burn pictures of her.
That was a little over sentimental, a little bit. I think Judd got a little. Well,
the concept being, of course, that and it's the nice thing about Judd Winnick is when he's on, he does some really creative.
Oh, sure.
And she's burning the pictures, but even as she's doing it out of sentimentality, she's admitting that she's actually doing it to make sure she doesn't get associated.
To make sure it doesn't come back down on her.
And then instead of she expects Batman to catch her at it, and the police show up,
right.
Which is kind of hysterical. So I have to say, I'm not hating the book in any way, but I'm not. Also,
but what about this Bone character? Is where I was originally going here, because he's now her own villain. I've never heard of this Bone guy before.
No,
he's new.
He didn't seem all that villain. Like, he threatened her. She kicked the crap out of him and kicked him off a roof. And Batman.
He is a gangster, but he's got that whole twisted, weird physiognomy that makes him a Bat Universe villain.
I don't know. He didn't impress me very much. Like, his whole... Yeah, he definitely didn't feel like a major villain because he got his ass whipped.
Certainly not.
And kicked off a roof.
Right.
He honestly felt like... I hate saying this, but...
yeah...
Tom Strong's Charlie Bones.
That's terrible.
But, he was just a quirky gangster.
Yeah, a lot like Brick. Brack?
Well, Brick...
Green Arrow.
To a degree, but Brick and Green
Brick?
Arrow... Yeah, Brick.
Yeah.
But Brick was written in a way that was implying that he was... a different style of villain.
Yeah.
That's what made him work, was the fact that you were looking at the guy and thinking, okay, here's a guy with powers who doesn't want anything to do with the whole superhero world.
Right. I can see that.
So, and in this case, this guy felt more like a filler. So, I'll be surprised if you're seeing like huge Bone storylines coming up.
But, they might build him. You never know.
It's possible. But you didn't get the feeling from this that he was going to be the epic lead villain.
Well, he showed up in one panel... And then, actually, he wasn't in the first book at all.
No.
So, he showed up largely at the second part of 2, right?
Yep.
I got this all just
and then
fucking
got his ass
organized
whipped
now.
by the end of 3.
Yeah. So, he could come back, and he could probably come back for revenge. Not only did he steal all her stuff, or the reverse, she stole all his shit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a little... obsessed with the stuff here. I was like, what, did you grow up poor or something? What the fuck? It's not like these were heirlooms, for God's sake. They're not 700-year-old pieces of chalice that you're fucking...
That should allow geeks to really relate to him, because stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, stuff is pretty much what geeks are all the fuck about. I mean, I might want to punch a girl out if she burned all my comic books.
I don't think might or want so much as age. Don't do that would have to come into play.
You know what? I could sell that shit.
Huh?
I'm totally fucking around. I got nothing on that one. You know what? They're books.
You'd be pretty angry.
Well, angry, sure, but come on. To go after somebody's best friend and break their legs and put a bullet through their head.
That
Come
seems
on.
A tad unnecessary.
That's excessive.
All right.
Batwoman. Batwoman is very European.
I just don't relate to this book. I don't care about the character is being made like it's a lesbian Bruce Wayne. Like, she's got too much money, she's fighting crime, but and I don't care. None of that bothers me. It just doesn't seem necessary either. And why am I the only person who seems to notice that she's fucking clown-painted white walking around town, and no one can tell she's Batwoman, the only other clown-painted white person walking around town?
Well, the only critical difference being the length of her hair and the mask. But, you can't get like that, because otherwise you go back to the whole spit curl glasses thing.
Yeah, but you know what? At least that's an effort. Like, literally.
Well, I'm trying to figure out why in the fuck she's paste white no matter what she does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Really?
Apparently
she can't have been in the dark that fucking long, okay?
She's never seen the sun.
Ever.
It's a rumor.
Wrong. Not possible.
All right? If you were to strip her naked, you'd see her ribs in those glowy frog colors.
Glowy frog
She's
colors.
an Amazonian frog. Okay, that's all I can figure out.
All right, that's just bizarre.
Exactly.
Okay, I don't need
And plus she's
Amazonian
fighting
frogs.
this mystical water drowning, kid killing thing.
Where'd this partner come from? Do you remember this? This protege of hers?
I don't remember that. Apparently,
Did they
it's a
explain
cousin.
that at all?
It's been a while since I read the first one, so I don't remember for sure.
I really don't mind it. I need a little bit of freaky, weird, make me think about the book I'm reading book. Because Avengers ain't exactly an intellectual's fucking exercise.
There's some clever things, but I see your point.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you want to talk talky...
I don't necessarily need talky, but I need a little...
I
need a little weird, is what I'm saying. Less straightforward and a bit more what the fuck is not a bad thing. If you follow me.
Hey, you buy it, I read them. I don't think it's an awful book, but I don't overly enjoy it either. I thought the build of the relationship was done well between her and Maggie Sawyer.
All right, very good.
That was well done. The art is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I can't stand this drowning villain thing.
Well, they'll get rid of her. I mean, they got rid of the supposed sister, the crime queen of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next villain.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll bring in the Batman villain with a hole in her head.
No. She
crossover.
doesn't exist anymore. That would have to happen all over again. And I don't think anybody is really interested in rehashing terrible Grant Morrison villains.
I don't know, dude. First off, all the Grant Morrison stuff that has happened seems to have carried over.
Not all of it. What have you seen so far that implies that?
Well, Batman Incorporated.
That's not a book.
No, but it's
The
still out there.
concept is. Yes, the concept is still there. The Batwing is still out there. Which actually I borrowed that at the shop.
Yeah.
The first one was mildly intriguing. It wasn't like, oh my god, this is terrible. Why am I in Africa? It was, he's sponsored by Batman, so there's a factor of, can they just leave heroes be their own damn heroes for once? But, he's a policeman and he does crimes. So, that's not bad. Oh my god, the zombie fucking... You ready for the last two books?
Yeah, fire away.
Jennifer Blood. Why is this movie still on? God in heaven.
It's awesome.
Zombie sheep. It's getting a lot gross at the end. Jennifer Blood.
Speaking of gross.
Last issue of Garth Ennis.
It's 6, but you also bought 7 to see how the beginning
Yes,
of the
because
next
I didn't note on the cover that he was gone. So, we finish up the Bloot storyline.
Anticlimactic. That's all I have to say.
Unsatisfying, to say the very least. She yaps a lot while the guy bleeds out. And she threatens the over-horny neighbor who pisses himself naturally, because that's what comedy's all about now, is people pissing and puking.
Don't forget his tiny wang.
His tiny, tiny wang. Which, thanks for thinking of in public, Bill.
Hey, you know what? I had to see it like 7 fucking times in this book.
That doesn't mean I want to talk about it. It just means I had to see it too. So the less said, the better at this point.
That was the level of comedy we were dealing with. This is you're done with this book, I assume.
Yeah. Because I'm not a Yakuza guy. I'm just a creepy killer businessman who's pissy about his daughter. I'm going to kill somebody for being shortchanged over 11 cents. That holds no fucking interest for me at all. Don't care. It wasn't even the over-the-top kind of absurd that Ennis has pulled out in past issues of Take Your Pick.
I honestly felt like this almost felt like he got bored.
Yeah, I think so. You know? And although it's funny that she took into consideration the withdrawal symptoms of her family when she stops feeding them Valium. But, you know, they may or may not have to stop feeding them Valium because she may or may not have to do it. But we're not going to find out because I ain't buying it.
But you know what? You will be revisiting this universe when the Ninjets books comes out.
Yes, I will be doing that real quick. I'm going to get 1 or 2 issues, depending on how long it lasts, for strictly novelty value. Because I find the concept of a trio of jackassy, privileged teeny boppers thinking they can actually run around and be assassins and then get annihilated by Jennifer Blood hilarious.
But where can it go? They're dead. And they didn't do too much.
Well, it's obviously a prequel. I mean...
Yes, but wasn't their whole origin like they banged some seals and then found out how to be mercenaries?
Well, this is pretty much their training while they're banging the seals.
I
so,
see.
You know, I get a couple issues for novelty effect, and, you know, we'll see what happens. I am not endorsing it for any long-lasting artistic principle. I think it might be a little bit of fun, and I'll give it a go. So
Fair
there.
enough.
Having established all of that horse shit, we're going to close this episode before the computer pukes again. Have a good night, kids.
Bless you, fuckers.
I just said up yours, baby.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. You can find us on iTunes, Podcast Alley, Facebook, Comic Space, our own site, www.themeangeek.com. Subscribe to us through RSS, and most importantly, find us as a proud member on the Comics Podcast Network. Contact us directly through email at themeanergeek@gmail.com.